How's it going, everyone? Hope you're having a wonderful day, and I want to give my thoughts on Invincible Season 3. Just a quick recap, I absolutely loved the first season. I knew nothing about the comic going into it. I think I've heard the name here and there before, but otherwise I knew nothing about Invincible or Omni-Man or any of that stuff. I was going completely blind, and I fell in love with the show almost immediately. Of the writing, of the characters. I don't think the animation's the best, and that carries through all the seasons, but I can quickly get past that because the writing is just so good. So I love Season 1, I thought Season 2 was even better for writing, and then we get to Season 3 and the writing is still so damn good. I don't know if it's better than the last season, I'd have to think about it longer because the finale was literally like yesterday, as the time I'm recording this. But yeah, this season the story kind of revolves around Mark's morality about if it's okay to kill criminals or not, or if we should give them a chance to be reformed. Cecil highly believes in if these people have skills, then we should reform them and have them fight for our side. Meanwhile, Mark's like, it's like, no, lock them up and throw away the key. You know, they did bad stuff, they hurt people. And Cecil will bring up, it's like, oh, you killed Angstrom Levy, then shouldn't we lock you up then? And, you know, it kind of like, Mark's a little bit of a hypocrite. Because, yeah, he killed or thought he killed Angstrom Levy in the last season. And then Mark has to try and justify that himself. It's like, well, you know, that was different. But it was really not. He still did, at least as far as he knows, he took another human life. You know, the context doesn't really matter there. Especially with what he's trying to preach to Cecil. So they get into a huge conflict, and this absolutely amazing episode where basically they get into a huge fight, and Cecil uses this like really high-pitched sound to hurt Invincible. They implant in his head. Invincible fights all the what are they called? The zombie robot things, the reanimator men, I think that's what they're called. And yeah, and then there's a whole kind of conflict within the Guardians of the Globe about siding with Mark or Cecil. They kind of like they're doing their own little version of like Civil War in this season. So that's like largely what the conflict is around. They also have them dealing with some other conflicts. Like Titan comes back in this season, which I was really glad to see him. Though I think the episode with Titan was probably the weakest one because it felt the most like kind of filler. Pretty much what happens is that Invincible gets a job as like a superpowered prison guard, and then he fights a dragon. That's pretty much what happens in the whole episode. You know, I think it's probably the least episode of the whole season. This is also the season where Alan finally convinces Nolan or Omni-Man to come to his side, because you know last season Alan intentionally got himself caught so he could break out Omni-Man, and it took a while of them talking. And the thing that finally got Omni-Man to do it was that he was about to be executed, but then Alan and Balbeast interrupt it, and Alan's letting the Viltrumite beat him up because, like, Nolan needed that extra push in order to fully come to his side, so Nolan helps him, they escape. Nolan reveals to him there's less than 50 pure-blooded Viltrumites left in the galaxy, which is one of the biggest reveals in the comics, so I've heard. And it's a pretty big reveal in the show too, is that there's not many Viltrums as we thought there were. We thought there was like millions of them, but there's not. There's less than 50. Even less now that Alan, Nolan, and Balbeast all killed a few of them. Of course, Nolan killed a couple of them last season. And then there's Conquest, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So yeah, so they break out. Mark and Eve also get together in the season finally, which I'm very happy about. I've been waiting for them to get together. Yeah, so they got a lot of cute scenes. I like them together. Rex also gets a lot of character development, which is very nice to see. Rex was pretty much just a huge asshole in the first season. But season 2 really started to show like there's a lot more depth to his character. And then season 3, like, actively showing like trying to be a better person now. He gets into a relationship with the shrinking girl. And that's pretty much kind of what most of season 3 is about. It's kind of like establishing new relationships, breaking up old ones. Oh, and Mark travels into the future and fights a version of the Immortal that goes nuts after taking over. Apparently in the future, Mark's the Emperor and he lets Immortal be in charge of Earth, but Immortal like goes nuts, so Mark has to kill him. That's another person Mark has to kill, and he's not exactly happy about it. And then we get to the last 2 episodes. This is really what I want to talk about the most. Episode 7 being the Invincible War. This is a thing I've heard about from just being exposed to the show now since it's been out. Like a thing in the comic. It's a huge thing in the comic. Angstrom Levy is still alive, as this turns out. And he's gotten a bunch of other marks from other dimensions to come to our Mark's universe to basically just destroy a bunch of shit and kill a bunch of people. And yeah, it's a 3-day war that they show. And basically still losing battle the whole time. We do kill a few of them, like the Reanimator Man managed to kill one of them. The new Darkwing takes one to the Shadow Realm and he goes missing. He's presumed dead, but he'll probably pop up again, I'd imagine. And then we got... Man, this one hurt, man. So, one of the marks is attacking the team's base of operations, and Rex is there. He tells Rudy, and he tells Bulletproof to get Rudy and Monster Girl out of there. Monster Girl's like unconscious, so she can't help. And most of Rudy's robots are destroyed by now, so like Rex stays behind to fight the Mark by himself. He puts up a decent fight. It's not enough because this Mark is still super strong. He's still a Viltrumite. And the bad Mark, I think they call him No Goggles Vincible or something like that. Like Holt has Rex up by his throat and he's like, you have no more shit to throw? And Rex is like, I have one thing left. The guy's like, yeah, what's that? And then Rex reaches into his open wound and grabs, I think, like a rib or something. He goes, my entire goddamn skeleton, dickhead. And he explodes himself to kill the other Mark, but he also ends up killing himself. And yeah, man, it's heavy. Like I've grown to like Rex so much that, like, yeah, that sacrifice, that really hit, man. And then they almost ruined it by playing a Billie Eilish song, but whatever. Mark also kind of retreats from the Invincible War after Eve like gets her leg broken by one of them, like during a fight. But then Cecil tells him, it's like, hey, we found Angstrom Levy. Then the Invincibles are going to turn on Angstrom Levy, but he sends them all away. And then Mark shows up and they have their big fight. Mark does beat him and is about to kill him. Even his brother Oliver goes him into doing it too, which is another big conflict of this season, is that Mark is now training Oliver to be a superhero. Oliver doesn't really have that moral code. He believes if you're a bad guy, you deserve to die, and it's kind of like that. He kind of has his father's mindset. And Mark is trying to teach him right from wrong, but in this instance, Mark is gonna kill Angstrom Levy, but then he makes a portal to get away, and Mark grabs his arm and it cuts his arm off right before he escapes. And then we see how Angstrom survived. He had these guys like ready on standby to save his life should the need hit. And he goes back to them and he's like, hey, tend to my wounds before I bleed out. And they're like, no, if you want us to help you, you work for us now. So we're going to see where that leads. We find out the finale, they want their own world because theirs was destroyed. So we'll see how far that goes. So Mark goes to help with the cleanup, finding more bodies or more people in need. And he's like taking a break. And then you hear, stand ready for my arrival, worm. And then he shows up. Conquest. I had heard from people who have read the comic that Conquest was an absolutely insane character. And so I was super excited when he showed up. And yeah, the most of the final episode is the fight with Conquest. And it is insane. They don't have a cold opening. They have the recap, the logo, and then right into the fight. And it is brutal, man. You thought the fight between Mark and Omni-Man in season 1 was brutal. This is even worse. Like, they're going through so many buildings, so many people. Once again, Mark is used as a battering ram to kill more people. Like, Conquest has him by the throat, and like have him go through a beach of people and through a whole city. They even show like a blind guy and his dog get hit in the crossfire. A kid loses his arm. They actually show that, which I couldn't believe they showed that. Like, it's brutal. They did not hold back. Which is the thing I really like about Invincible, is that they aren't afraid to show that, real people will get hurt when these superpowered people come down and fight. Something they've shown through all of the seasons. and it completely fits within the world, I think. Because Invincible is going for a more realistic look at superheroes. Oliver tries to get into the fight, but he he goes to try and punch Conquest, and Conquest just smacks him so hard in the face. And it's honestly kind of funny seeing that. And then Conquest can like just rip him apart, but Mark managed to save him just in time. And Oliver's out for the rest of the fight after that. And then Eve joins in the fight, and when Mark sees her shows up, he's like, "Oh God, please no!" Like he did not want anyone else to be there. And he tries to tell Eve to get out of there, but she's loyal to him now, so she wasn't going anywhere. So like, Conquest breaks Invincible's leg, so then he has to fight Eve. Eve does put on a battle suit, but it only does so much. She's putting up a decent fight, but she gets tired much faster than Viltrumite does. So Conquest breaks off all the armor. He punches her in the face with his metal hand, and the face gets all fucked up. And then he just sticks his hand through her stomach and very, very nearly kills her, or grabs her, and he's like crying and begging and screaming for Cecil to come and help. And Conquest is like, if you have anything left to say to her, you better do it now. And it's kind of played off like she does die. But she does repair herself, because she explains it later in the episode, if you didn't see the Adam Eve episode, which I highly recommend watching, is that if she goes through a highly stressful moment, then her powers are fully unlocked. She doesn't have any more mental blocks. So something like almost dying is a way for her to fully reconstruct herself. She manages to repair her damage. Conquest has this amazing moment where he thanks Mark for, he's like, "Hey, I don't know what you did to piss off the Empire, but, I don't have to hold back here. I can kill whoever I want, because usually there's so many parameters." So they continue fighting. Conquest has him pinned down, and they basically confess to himself. It's like, you know what? I am so lonely doing this. I don't have a real name. I just have a purpose, He's basically confessing his true feelings to Invincible right before he's going to kill him. And then Eve saves him. She fucking incinerates Conquest, burns off all his skin. It's really cool. Though he's still not down because he refuses to fucking die. So then Mark basically goes in to finish the fight. He's punching him in the face, then Conquest grabs him, breaks his fingers. So then Mark resorts to literally using his head and bashing his fucking face in. Like over and over and over. Mark Truman is like, "Is this what you want? Tell me how you feel." And then Stephen Yeun, or Young, I don't know how you say it. I've heard it pronounced both ways. God, he's so good as Invincible. Like, his range is insane for his voice acting. It's just gotten better with each season. So he beats the fuck out of him. He thinks he kills him. He crawls over to Eve. They have a cute moment. Mark wakes up at the hospital a few days later, and he's like, "Okay, show me his body." Cecil does, and Mark's like, "Burn it." Then we get Rex's funeral. It's very sad. Mark and Eve then go home and enjoy each other's company in the sheets. And then we get a little bit of setup for season 4. We see those squid things that control people's mind. They've been taking over people on Earth. So that's obviously going to be a big plot point in season 4. Battle Beast is still alive. So he's still out there, so he's going to come back. And then the last scene before the credits is Mark is in Oliver's hospital room. And he's like, I realize that you're right. These bad people, they hurt a lot of people. So Mark basically makes a promise. He's like, should my family be put in danger again, I won't hesitate to kill. So his moral code is kind of going away. He's not saying he's going to kill just about anybody, but he's not going to hold back anymore. If he believes the people he cares about most are in trouble, then he will fight to kill. So that's the last scene we get with him. Then we get a post-credit scene with Damien Darkblood. He's back. He's in hell. He's talking to his boss or something. He's like, "I've discovered someone. They're black and hurt. You can possess them," or something like that. And I found a way to summon him. Not sure who he's talking about. I read this was actually a cut plot from the comic, that Mark was going to fight like demons and shit. Like, there's something they cut from the comic, so I guess they're going to have it in the show, which is kind of cool. Because I know the show, it does follow the comic really closely, but they do make some changes to it. So I think that'd be an interesting change for season 4. But that's pretty much where we are now. I absolutely still love this show. It's my second favorite superhero show, just behind Daredevil. I think I mentioned that in a previous video. But yeah, I love season 3. It's a great adventure. Can't wait for season 4, whenever that comes out. It'll probably be sometime in 2026, I'd imagine. And that fight between Merc and Conquest was just absolutely insane, man. That's what they were saving the budget for, because the animation does get shot at times. But yeah, they were definitely saving it for that fight. And I'm glad they did, because that fight was amazing. But yeah, those are my thoughts on season 3. What do you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, comment, like, all that fun stuff. Have a great day. See ya.